Namaste, everyone on the show. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning to all our viewers from India and from across the world. So, we bring you another episode of the show. In fact, I was going through my documents yesterday and I realized that we started the show in October 2021. That was the first show that we had. And since then, today is our 38th episode of the show. We started as the author show, and then we moved it or renamed it as the show so that we could include more artists other than writers also on this show. So that's about the show. About me, I have also started, since then I have also started taking up workshops on creative writing for young adults as well as for corporate executives. And so, these are day-long workshops. And I'm also now contemplating, or I am going to be taking up assignments as a literary agent as well. So those of you who would like to either conduct creative writing workshops for batch sizes of 10, I am available. Or else, if you would like me to represent you as a literary agent, please do get in touch with me. For both these options, my email ID is sanjaychandra59@gmail.com. sanjaychandra59@gmail.com. We are also recording today's episode, and after the episode, we'll be sharing it on my YouTube channel as well as on my other social media handles. And please do watch the videos and share your comments, like or subscribe to my channel, and share your videos. Now, to the moderator of the evening. So that is Vardhan Dharkar for you. And a quick introduction of Vardhan. Vardhan is a science graduate and chartered accountant with over 30 years of experience in leadership roles at various Indian multinational companies. During the COVID-19 pandemic, he decided to leave the corporate world to pursue his passions. Currently, he is learning Sanskrit and studying the Bhagavad Gita, driven by a deep interest in India's spiritual heritage. He has authored blogs on various Indian festivals, highlighting their relevance in modern times. Besides his scholarly pursuits, he is an avid photographer and enjoys cooking. He aspires to write about India's spiritual heritage in the near future. So that's Vardhan for you, our moderator for the evening. Welcome once again, Vardhan, on the show.
Thank you.
Now to the guest of the evening. She is a multifaceted personality. Shalini, I hope you are there. And so let me quickly go through her introduction also. Shalini is a practicing doctor who is also a writer. She is the head department of pathology at the National Institute of Tuberculosis and Respiratory Diseases, Delhi. She is a technical expert and a resource person for health-related matters for magazines and organizations. Shalini is a copy editor and on the review board of the journal Research and Humanities in Medical Education. She lives in Gurgaon, works in Delhi, and inhabits the imaginary worlds that her reading lists take her to. Now about her writing. Her recent novel, The Way Home, was published in 2024. The book explores grief, healing, and self-discovery with a focus on mental health struggles of the millennials. Kitab.org has called the book as a grand gift with its understated elegance and powerful storytelling. Her book, Stars from the Borderless Sea, published in 2022, was longlisted for the how do you pronounce that, Shalini? Author Awards 2023, debut category. She was selected as Jagannath Selects Author and was one of the winners of the Ishi Short Story Contest. She has published 5 short stories in 3 anthologies. Shalini was awarded a jury appreciation citation at the UNFPA Ladli Media and Advertising Awards for Gender Sensitivity in 2022. And it goes on and on and on. I mean, she's an accomplished writer also, apart from being a pathologist. So I would now move out of the frame and leave Vardhan and Shalini to proceed further. Over to you, Shalini and Vardhan.
Thank you so much for that generous introduction. Namaste, everybody.
Namaste to all our viewers in India and outside of India, and a warm welcome to the show. Our guest today is Dr. Shalini Mullick. Incidentally, the guest on the last episode also was a doctor. So it seems now doctors are taking in increasing numbers to writing, and that's a welcome trend. Is that from writing the prescriptions which nobody can read to writing the novels which everybody will enjoy is a welcome change. And thanks, Sanjay, for your warm introduction. Let's begin our conversation, Shalini.
Sure, sure.
So I was looking at your website and your blogs, and in one of the blogs titled "When You Are Ready," you have mentioned written that, and I quote you: "The person who needs to know your story the most is you." And I found that statement a very impactful and profound. I would like to know from you what does that mean and what you wanted to convey through that blog and particularly this statement.
That's a very interesting question. What I wanted to say then and what I really believe in is that ultimately the questions and the answers are always within us. I mean, there's so much conflict. We're always thinking about what is going right, what we should do, what we should not do. And, everyone's running around trying to find answers. The answers are different for everybody, but what is same is that the answer is within for all of us. It's different, but our answer is within us. All we have to do is, give ourselves some amount of clarity and allow us to hear our own voice. And once you do that and you follow on your own voice, then nothing else matters. So, like I said, the only person who really needs to know is you. And taking that forward, it also means that once you're very clear about what you're doing, you don't have to justify your actions to anybody. If you believe in what you're doing, you can give yourself a good enough reason to do something or not to do. It's good enough. I don't have to be answerable to the whole world once I'm clear in my thoughts and my actions. So, and I think this is true for all of us.
Absolutely, and I think that is the key to happiness. That's what our spiritual heritage actually teaches us, that instead of looking outside and outside world, look within, and you will
Absolutely.
find the answers to all your questions.
Absolutely.
And that's the reason why I just wanted to have your views and your thoughts on this insightful statement that you have in your blog. The Now coming to you and your writing journey, from being a successful pathologist writing a complex biopsy reports to writing the stories to novel and writing poems, we would definitely love to know your journey, your ups and downs, your learnings, the appreciation that you received from your readers.
So I think just now in your introduction, Sanjay ji shared that after the pandemic, you also decided to shift course a little bit. So I think a major life change affects all of us in different ways, and it is I mean, it may not be a coincidence that my writing journey also, has a parallel in the pandemic. So before the pandemic started, I was writing a little off and on. I've always been a very avid reader, but I've never written as such. And I was doing some little bit here and there, before the pandemic. And then the pandemic happened. And I think all of you were working from home, but all of us were working from hospital. So it was an especially more difficult time. But what also happened was that And this is going to sound very strange because we were working, we were not off, but we were off from the other responsibilities of life. I have two children, they're teenagers. So, I got a little more time, the time that I used to spend packing their dabbas and taking them to classes. And I, spend that time writing. It was also a release from the stress of the pandemic because, we really didn't have an outlet. And I started writing. I began to enjoy it. It helped me, as we just discussed, it helped me look inward. And I think that's why I enjoyed it. And I continued writing. I had been writing short stories. I was lucky enough, to find people who were reading what I was writing and commenting on it on social media. So that always makes you feel better, that validation. And then I started work on my first book, Stars from the Borderless Sea, somewhere during the pandemic. And we progressed from literally, I call myself a, word by word writer because I started writing 100-word stories. Then I wrote my second book, which is a collection of 3 novellas, and now finally I've written a long form. So it's been a very fulfilling journey. Not because only of the fact that I've managed to publish, because that's a whole trajectory, as you know, and all of us know. Also because of the connections that I found. I've met some really lovely people, and we become friends, and I found people with whom I connect with. So because that energy that this writing has brought me, that's very precious to me. So I think I've been blessed that I've been able to, put it together and things are working out. And I'm enjoying it. I'm truly enjoying it, although writing is very hard. But like all of us know, it's also very rewarding when you actually manage to get the words out and something makes sense on the paper or the computer. So I'm enjoying it. And that's why I continue to do it.
So, when movie is produced, in the director or the producer and the actors, they have particular target audience in mind, and with that audience in mind, they write the script and then they make that movie so that then it strikes a chord with that particular section of the audience and it succeeds. So when a author writes a book, does he also follow the same thought process? Is that he has certain class of readers in mind, and keeping that aspect in mind, then he starts thinking about his next book and he starts writing, or it's a completely different process?
It's a very interesting question. I think for most writers that I know, it's the story that you want to tell. And who's going to read it comes much later. And I think our publishers are up in their, up with their arms in the air. Ki, no, that should be other way around. But I think as an author, we are essentially a storyteller. Uh, as a movie producer, I think you're essentially an entertainer. So probably they would be thinking differently. But for me, it's the story. And in fact, both my books have very different target audiences. So the first one is a mature romance. The protagonists are mature people who have lived a very rich life. And the second one is about millennials who are struggling to make sense of, their starting troubles of life. So I think it's the story that you want to tell. And once the story comes and it just refuses to go away from your head till it's transferred itself onto the computer or the page, an author is just a tormented soul, trying to get it out there. The readership, the genre, the kind of people, the kind of publication, all that comes much later. I think, at least for me. And I think for a lot of writers, they would agree.
That's something which helps me understand the process of writing. How do authors think about it? My next question is actually to both you and Sanjay. Is Today people are willing to pay 1,000 rupees also to go and watch a movie in theater. However, when it comes to buying the book, they are very reluctant. Why is that so?
I don't know. I wish it wasn't so. I think it's because one, reading for pleasure is not really encouraged in our society. People are not reading generally. It does not have this is going to sound very weird and controversial, but I think it doesn't have that cool factor You go back, you go to a movie, you go to work the next day, you talk about the movie, everyone's seeing the movie. So it's that peer pressure thing that's not there with books, because even if I'm reading and you're reading something different, there's hardly any conversation. People don't talk about reading. So maybe that is one thing. And before we let Sanjay answer, I would like to add that I'm a doctor and a writer. So both are professions or activities where people don't want to spend money on. So it's a double whammy for us. We, even as doctors, we talk, कि यार clinic पे आएंगे. I mean, I'm in the government service, but even my friends talk, कि people will come to the clinic, they'll be loaded with bags and they'll spend 2,000 rupees on a restaurant next door, but then they'll haggle for the doctor ki fees. So I think I get it doubly bad. I don't know why that is so.
You are on mute.
It's a difficult question, Vardhan, and see, I think the pace of life itself has become too fast, and the younger generation, they are looking for instant gratification. And reading a book, obviously you can't read a book. There are people who can read a book in one whole sitting, one entire sitting, a 300-page book, but then that is an overnight read. Whereas the same story, a movie maker is able to condense in, say, let's say 1 hour 30 minutes, or 1 hour 50 minutes, or even 2 hours. So probably that also is one of the reasons why reading is going down as a habit. But personally, I feel that reading is actually very essential, is extremely essential, because it helps you prepare for the challenges that are going to be coming in your life in future. Because it gives you a lot of empathy, it gives you a lot of imaginative power, imagination. You can think a lot, and obviously that thinking and that discussion part, is very important, that you start discussing with others also about the book. So we as authors and as communities also, probably we need to inculcate that habit of reading in our youngsters. That's what I personally feel. But but I think it's basically Shalini that you are talking to. So I'll leave you
No,
both of you to it.
very true. I think that, do you not think that this is why the capacity for critical thinking is going down? People are just
Exactly.
absorbing whatever they're getting, give it to them as a snapshot of life and they'll take it, whether it's WhatsApp forwards or movies. So you're very right on the importance of communities.
Yeah.
So very briefly, what can be done to change that? To increase the habit of reading or inculcate the habit of reading?
So, like book clubs, set up local community book clubs. Even if there are 2 members, even if there are 3 members, there are societies or condominium complexes which have started the concept of a library. Borrow as you move, library kind of a thing is there, and encourage people to go for more for reading as well as writing. Communicate with each other. So these are, I think, few of the steps that I can think of right away. But yeah, there could be many more. Shalini would be able to.
So I agree. Actually, we are also one of the condominiums where we've set up a library. It started with the children's library, but now we have adult titles as well. I mean, space was the limitation. Our RWA, I was also involved. Even ISAF to give us a lot of space. We have a lovely library in our condominium. And what I've realized is exactly what you're saying, that when you do have an event, people do come. So someone has to make that start for fostering that community. It's not as if people don't want it. And people come. I mean, we've had informal events in our society. People do come. When we go to bookshops for small events, we are like, it's going to be less people, but that's okay. I mean, you're not selling ice cream after all. So
Yeah,
so it's
exactly.
fine. Yeah. But when you do make a start, things do happen. And I think that is the way to go,
Like, for example, last year or this February, we had that literature festival. And the entire day, it was a small hall of about 60, 70 capacity. And for the entire day, the hall was packed. So people did come. Yeah, you are right. People do come.
Yeah.
Someone has to make that effort.
Yes,
Absolutely.
I think somebody has to take that lead and make a beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that somebody has to be us only.
I agree completely. No, shows like this help. Small little book talks help. Meeting people in coffee shops instead of bookshops also help, because that's a new set of people who have not been converted yet. So
Yes.
like you said, the people are us and the job is in front of us.
So coming to your latest book, The Way Home, we would definitely love to know more about it. What is it about? What are the main protagonist characters in that?
Sure.
If
Can
you can
I
explain.
just show the book? Oh,
Yeah,
it's blurred,
please.
I think. Yeah, I think it's blurred, but okay. So
No,
The
it's
Way Home is actually a story that I started writing during the very stressful second wave of the pandemic, which was, I think, very devastating emotionally for a lot of people. And we were seeing all that grief around us. All of us were. It's not, I'm not minimizing it. So I started telling the story of doctors who were working during that time. And these were young doctors who were at the front lines. We being senior, we were lucky enough not to be there every day tending to the patients, right? So I was wondering about the kind of struggles they go through and all that. And that is how the book started. It was cathartic for me getting that out, I think, at that point of time. But then the book evolved into a story about three millennials who are coping with challenges of life, career, grief, someone losing a very close loved one, an elder sister, not someone elderly or who's been ill. A sudden death of a sibling is a very, very traumatic experience. So, my main protagonist, Anya, she's a doctor, and that's what she's going through. And she's just chosen to shut the world out because instead of coping with her grief, she just wants to run away from it. The other protagonist, Roy, is also a doctor, and he's struggling with severe lack of confidence. He is a surgeon, but he's feeling as if he simply cannot operate, and he's had a bad experience with a patient, and he's not able to get back to his profession. So again, something, the imposter syndrome. Again, us writers are not unfamiliar with that. And lastly, there's Neel, who's struggling with, his career choices. His parents are super achievers in the field of medicine, and he does not want to be a doctor, but he also doesn't know what he wants to be, right? Which is, again, true for a lot of people these days. So when I gave this book to my publisher, it had all this, and it had COVID. It had a lot of COVID. It had doctors struggling with lack of PPE. It had mass funerals and all that stuff. And my publisher was like, no one wants to read this. I'm like, how can you say that? I mean, it's so dear to me as a doctor, the fact that there was no oxygen and no one did anything about it. He's like, yeah, okay, that's fine, honey, but no one wants to read it. So I was like, okay, I'm not taking COVID out of this book. So he's like, okay, it's up to you. I'm not doing the book with COVID. But when someone gives you feedback like that, it's you need to step back and see where he's coming from. So about a week later, we had a long talk, and he said, look, I know this is very dear to you, but people are trying to forget COVID. People need to move on, and by the time the book comes out, they're going to be in a happier space. And he says, don't you want that they should remain in a happier space? So that sort of makes sense. And then I was forced with this. And then he explained, we talked about it in depth. And he said, and I said actually, that these are evergreen problems of life. Grief is not associated with COVID. The imposter syndrome is something all of us face. Career choices are probably what affects all our youth. So he said, yeah, so then let's keep what is universal and, focus on that aspect. So then I had to take COVID out of the story after putting COVID into the story. But I think you have to do whatever the book wants you to do for it. Like we said, it's about the story. So I did that, and it took a long time, almost as much as it took me to write the book. And emotionally, physically, even physically picking out COVID from the book is not easy, I had to I had to do searches for COVID and mask and gloves. But we did it because we wanted the story to be reflective of issues which are universal both in time and place. So that's what. And again, the book is mirroring what you said in the beginning. The answers that the three friends find are within themselves. But what it takes for them to discover the strength is the friendship and bonding that these three young people, they're about 30 years old, that they find with each other. So sometimes, you need to be in a space where you can listen to yourself, face the fact of your own emotions. And that's what's come through in the book. So that was the journey of the book. It almost didn't happen, frankly, because, at one time I just had this thinking, no, I've written it this way. It has to be this way. So, but then a book belongs to many people.
Yeah.
So,
So, what is the readers' feedback? How have they seen it? Some of the
so
comments that you received, feedback you received.
yeah, so thankfully it's been received well. Actually, that was, and being very honest, that was another concern because my first book had Touchwood been received really well. It's a very emotionally heavy book and
Hmm.
it's steeped in love. It's like, I mean, it's just one word, love and soulmates. So
Yes.
that had received a very, very good feedback and everyone was worried. I was very apprehensive because I couldn't recapitulate that book. That book is different and this book is different. So we were all very anxious about what if people don't like it or what if, it doesn't touch a chord. And also I had a lot of people telling me that, you build up this whole readership base of people who are slightly more mature, who read different kind of books. And now you're writing for an entirely different audience. I mean, this doesn't make sense, but it was just a story. So it's been received actually very well. I have people who've told me that it's better than the first one, as in it's more nuanced. For me, both are individual books. I cannot compare the two. But one thing that I want to say here is that the youngsters have related very well to the book, especially because I've touched upon mental health. I mean, as this generation keeps saying, it's okay not to be okay. And, so I've shown Roy reluctantly go through therapy and learn from it. And so that part that it's okay to take help, it's okay to lean on somebody, and everyone's lives are not perfect. These are three things which has really resonated with people. Because this is a social media generation, for them everything is perfect, right? So I think they've been able to understand that what lies beneath is very deep, and that's where we need to reach in. So that's been very heartwarming.
Perfect. So, maybe if you can read a passage from the book, or you can recite a poem also.
No, I can't recite a poem. I'll read from the book. Before I read from the book, I'll tell you one day someone asked me to read. So I have this, just because, this is a freewheeling conversation. So this is a copy of my first book.
Yes.
And this is printed upside down by mistake. It's a binding error. It happens. And I
Hmm.
was carrying this book with me somewhere. Just I carry it for the display purposes, And someone asked me to read, and this is the only copy I had. So it's really funny. So now I make sure I have the right copy. It was so embarrassing. And then I was like, that would like this. So what do I do with the book?
That's hilarious.
So the strange things you learn as an author, right?
So that's one more thing that you have to make sure that you check.
Yes. And you know what you want to read.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're thumbing through the book. Like so many. So an author's life is very interesting, actually. So I'll surely read, but I'll just read a small little part.
Yeah.
I'm not good at reading from my book. Um, so this is from a little bit where Anya and Roy, both of them being doctors, they are in the operating room of the hospital they work in. The hospital they work in is incidentally placed in Goa, and I made them. So they were all living in Delhi NCR, and then they I felt that the first step to moving on mentally is to get away physically. So they go to Goa, and why I chose Goa was again because it was the second wave and we couldn't travel anywhere. I was dying for a vacation. All I wanted was to get away. So I was like, okay, I can't go. Let me just send these three people there. So anyway, so now they're in the operating room of the hospital where both of them work. And the chapter's name is The Surgery. Um, Anya loved the OR too. Choosing between surgery and emergency medicine had been a tough call for her. She found the thrill of piecing together clues to make a diagnosis as interesting as solving a mystery. And this had tilted the scales in favor of her becoming an emergency physician. Still, she would sometimes feel nostalgic for the air of anticipation and the dramatic vibe of the operating room. The luminescent lights, glistening metal instruments, gleaming sterile trays, and the rows of sophisticated equipment all made the OR a unique experience. Many of her teachers had used the term Operation Theatre for the OR. It did seem very appropriate given how the place was a stage for the most difficult procedures. After all, each case was a performance, a symphony of actions of so many people, events, and things. No matter how many rehearsals were done, it was the moment of truth when the patient was wheeled in. There was no scope for retakes, edits, touch ups, or computerized imagery. It was as real as it could get. She began to scrub. So I obviously have enjoyed writing about the medicine part of it. And there's just one sentimental sort of a paragraph which I would like to read. This is so Anya is also having to move out of the house she grew up in with her sister, which is doubly traumatic. And she and her grandmother visit the new home where they're going to be. And her grandmother is, a very stoic elderly lady, the kind that I think all of us have in our families, with years of wisdom behind them. So that's the kind of person my own grandparents were, and that's what I wanted should come across. So it says it was a charming neighborhood. The wide flower-lined tree roads were a contrast from the congested approach to their home in Old Delhi. It's beautiful, isn't it? BG asked. There was no doubt that the two-floor villa with its landscape garden was beautiful. Beautiful just like so many places were. But Anya couldn't bring herself to feel anything about it. Excited, happy, or even angry. It didn't feel like it was hers. It didn't feel like home. BG felt the pain in her silence. Anya, we make a house a home. Our moving out of the old house does not change anything. The house is part of your memories and it will always remain so. But your memories do not reside in the house. They live in your heart and your soul. Nothing can take them away from you. Even if we become frail and forgetful, like your grandfather did, those memories and experiences have become a part of you. That's the kind of, life advice. Thank you. That's the kind of life advice that we need from our elders, isn't it? So
Beautiful, and thank you for reading it for our viewers.
thank you. Thank you.
My next question is that what are your future plans? What should we expect in near future?
That's a tough question. So I'm working on another fiction book, which is, I've done my second or third draft, but it still needs a lot more work because my beta readers have sent it back to me with a lot of love and affection and comments. Beyond that, I do seriously want to write some nonfiction themes I have in my head, and I want to explore them. But slow and steady because time is a constraint. So that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
So
of
right,
course.
yeah. So right now the fiction book, hopefully next year should be there sometime.
Okay, okay.
So
So
time is a constraint here also, Vardhan and Shalini.
yes, yes. So with this, I hand it over to you, Sanjay. You can take it forward from here.
So it was such a wonderful interaction, Shalini. And, this is the first time that I actually saw Vardhan laughing with gay abandon on the show. So I, I haven't heard it
Were you
doing.
laughing at me or were you laughing
No,
with
no,
me?
no, no. I mean,
With me.
Just
How can
kidding.
I be laughing? That is not possible.
I had a lovely time. I had a
So,
lovely
so
time.
yeah, so that was really a nice episode that we had. And once again, I would like to remind everyone who would be watching, who are watching it currently, or who would be watching it, maybe watching it, the recording of it, that please do get in touch with me at sanjaychandra59 @gmail.com in case you would like to feature on the show or would like to organize a creative writing workshop or even a literature festival in your condominium complex. We would be open to do that. Or if you would want me to represent you as a literary agent, I would love to do that. So thank you all very much, and thank you once again, Shalini, for being on the show. Uh,
Pleasure.
it
Thank you
was
for
it
having
was
me.
it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure to have you with us. We enjoyed it thoroughly. Hope to looking forward to have you on the show once again when your next book comes out.
My
It will
pleasure.
be a pleasure.
Anytime.
Thank you, Shalini, and wish you all the best for all your future endeavors.
Thank you so much. Thank you both of you.
And goodbye, viewers. Have a wonderful and safe weekend. Enjoy the monsoon rains wherever they are happening. Gurgaon currently is not having any rains. So morning it rained a bit, but yeah. So do enjoy the monsoons as well.
We are having a great shower today.
Okay.
It's raining here. It's
So
raining.
wonderful, and thank you all once again very much. Goodbye. Namaste.
Namaste.